Thank you for being here this afternoon. Before I call this committee meeting to order, I wish to welcome members of the public that are here in the gallery, as well as those that joining us on live. We are do coverage with cable television and I believe also on Facebook, legislative Facebook. I would like to first recognize the committee that are here with us this afternoon. To my right is the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Donald Manglotnya. And to his right is Senator Francisco Q. Cruz, chairman for EAGI. And to my far left is Senator Paul A. Manglotnya. He's the chair for the Health and Welfare Senate. And joining us as well remotely, he's on his beautiful island of Rota, the chairman for Education and Youth, Senator Ronnie Calvo. This afternoon also we're being assisted with the meeting with some members of, the Legislative Bureau. I'm going to start introducing the legal counsel, Joe Bermudez, to my left, and to my right is the legislative assistant, Jolene Dueñas Tagaboel. And over to my far right is Mr. Jonathan Diaz. He's responsible with the IT works to make sure that the coverage is in order. And the gentleman that's standing is the legislative sergeant at arms, Mr. Jonathan De Leon Guerrero. And the gentle lady that's sitting there in the gallery is the other legal counsel for the Senate, Ms. Antoinette Mela Gomez. So with that, I hereby call this Fiscal Affairs Committee meeting in order. Today is December 17 at approximately 1:37 p.m. here at the Senate chamber at the Vice Speaker Jesus P. Mafnas Legislative Building. With that, the chair recognizes the Ms. Tagabel to please call the roll to effectuate the quorum.
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo.
Present.
Senator Manny Gregory T. Costro. Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Judio Schneider.
Gaigi.
Senator Karina L. Magofnia. Senator Donald M. Manglotnya.
Present.
Senator Paul A. Manglotnya.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, 5 members are present, 2 members are absent.
With 5 members present, we have the requisite number of members to proceed further with the meeting today. However, I wish to also make on record that Senate Vice President Corina Magofnia and Senator Manny Castro is hereby excused from today's meeting. Under item number 3, adoption of agenda. Any member may wish to offer a motion to adopt today's meeting agenda. You can proceed on. So offered by Floor Leader Manglotnya and seconded by Senator Cruz. All those in favor to adopt today's agenda, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Today's meeting agenda is hereby adopted. Moving on to item 4 under public comment. This is the portion of our meeting where we welcome members of the public who are here with us to offer testimonies or comments with regards to any of the bills that are on today's order of business. Again, to offer comments in reference to any of the bills that are included in today's order of business. If you wish to do so, you please come up to the podium or to the seat that is made available for the public. And please state your name for the record and indicate which item you are referring to. So with that,
Okay, for the record, my name is Michael Cruz. I'm the Director for Parks and Recreation under the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. I came today when I read the agenda to support House Bill 24-51 to establish a revolving account for the Marpi Public Cemetery. And I'm full support of 24-09 for the 1% of the hotel occupancy tax for to beautify Marpi Cemetery. The tourist sites at Marpi or any other tourist sites that is under our purview. Regarding the Marpi Public Cemetery, that was an unfunded mandate that we opened up this year. And for the record, there is, as of this Saturday, we're going to have 22 people that is buried there. And it takes a lot of funds that I use on our regular revolving account to sustain the Marpi Cemetery. And right now, we need the regulations are all out, been promulgated, but internal fees were put in as a reserve. So we're gonna try and establish a revolving account for the Marpi Cemetery alone. Our job there at Marpi Cemetery is to open those crypts, prepare the crypts for proper burial of those people that are asking to be buried in Marpi. And everything is pre-doc. There's some application process. The process of the starting of to acquire a plot would be getting a burial permit at CHCC, which a lot of people have been requesting for reservations, but under the law, you need to have a death certificate before we issue you a plot. So for that being said, I'm here. I'm gonna thank you guys for entertaining this House bill. I think it's a need to sustain the Marpi Cemetery. We cannot keep coming to the legislature asking for funds. Thank you for your assistance.
thank you, Director Cruz. So you're referring to House Bill 24-51, correct?
Yeah, I'm full support of 2451, and even I got two on the agenda, 2409, which is the 1% hotel occupancy tax for the beautification of the tourist sites.
Okay, so thank you so much, Director. Floor remains open, and please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Chairman, and all the respective members of this legislature. My name is Joaquin Songsong, Director for Land Registration and Survey under Department of Lands and Natural Resources. I am here in support of Public Law 24-51, which will establish an revolving account for our division to be used for our daily operation and our needs, and especially in upgrading all our land information system. And I'm in support too with the newly opened public cemetery, it will really help our people with this new public cemetery, because we can see that Chalancanoa and Tanapak, which is down in Lorbis, they're pretty much occupied. And I'm really supportive with this Marpi Public Cemetery. Thank you, members of this body.
This is Masi Director Songsong. The public comments still ongoing.
Good afternoon. Jane
Hello.
Mack from Micronesian Legal Services on 24-24. I'd like to call everybody up. I brought some troops with me that I want you to meet. Please stand up and come up here. Thank you. I'm the Directing Attorney of the Mariana's Office of Micronesian Legal Services. We represent poor people in civil litigation, civil cases, all kinds of matters. with me. Come up here. Please. This is Pollyann Sablon Taitano. She is a paralegal in our office.
Yeah, please, Mr. Just take your time and you sit down first before you.
Carmina Kilelman, she is a secretary in our office. Nikki Adow, who is a paralegal in our office, and attorney Chris Heeb, who is my right-hand staff attorney. We have other staff who are still at the office for this afternoon, Greg Vaca and Christy Diaz, who are manning the office while we're here. We're here in support of 24-24, which is the tax credit for Micronesian Legal Services Corporation. And we desperately need funding. We are in a situation where we're facing cuts. Our board recently passed a budget, and without additional funding from the Marianas, our office will have to terminate some of this staff. The budget that the board passed would require me to lay off at least 2 of these people, along with myself, because I will be retiring next year soon. And so our office will be severely impacted with those layoffs. We know that the CNMI government is also struggling with the downturn in the economy. But what the downturn in the economy means to our population is that there are more and more poor people, and they have just as many legal issues, if not more, than ever before. And we are the only agency in the CNMI that gives them free legal help in their civil cases in a wide variety of matters. There is NMCL that helps the disabled, but we're the only ones. And if you want justice for all, you have to have justice for poor people. And the legislature has not funded us. SNILD has not funded us. The Rhoda delegation has occasionally funded us. We've occasionally gotten funds from the government, and then we don't get it, and then we get it, and then we don't get it. We get a little bit here, we get some there. But most of our budget comes from the federal government Legal Services Corporation, and it's distributed among all of Micronesian Legal Services based on poverty, population, and some other factors. But it's also under threat right now. We are on a continuing resolution, but if that doesn't continue, if there are further cuts, we will really be struggling. And in the past, we had a pot of money from Bank of America settlement funds that we could call on when we were running over budget, and we've used up all of our reserves. So we are looking for every possible help we can get in whatever way. And this tax credit, if you pass it now, if you recommend that it be passed and the Senate passes it and it goes to the governor, would still give some time for a handful of people this year to make those donations that we desperately need and get the tax credit that would help support them. If you have questions, I would really be happy to answer them or have my staff answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Jane. Usually in the public comment, we just allow testimonials.
Okay.
But if you,
right.
I'll take the cue from the members if we wish to do an engagement with you guys also. Recognize Sintopo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, since they're all here, can we at least afford a few minutes and so members can interact? And so with that, I'd like to move to resolve into committee of the whole. Or?
Okay. Let me make sure that we are on track with this. We don't want to consult. We're on public comment. Should we close public comment for now and then we'll fall into committee of the whole, or can we just go in recess and have a conversation? I want to make sure that we account for these comments that we're gonna that we're recording because these are important information for the public. Can I just let me just call for a short recess?
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, I think it would be helpful if
Absolutely.
if this is recorded. So
Yeah, but let me just take a short recess so he can give us the proper guidance. And go
thank
back.
you. Thank you.
Just 2 minutes. Thank you. We're back in our meeting. So I was given the guidance with the legals that we're going to go ahead and close public comment for now, unless any objection from other members of the public that are here, or at least the committee members. I'm gonna go and close public comment, then allow further discussion on the legislation before us, particularly on House Bill number 24-24, and I was just giving the cue that it's on House Draft 1. So any objection from the members? Objection? Okay, public comment is now closed. And further, I wish to request the members that we continue discussion on the specific legislation in today's order of business, and in referencing House Bill number 24-24 HD1, as requested by some of the members. We're going to allow a open discussion on the issue, and at this time, I still want to go back to Ms. Mack if you wish to offer any more, and then we'll drive our discussion from then. Are you sure nobody wants to say anything about the legislation, whether you're in support or not?
Just say you support it.
I support it. I've been with Micronesian Legal Services for 23 years.
Okay.
I would, like it to continue.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, or anybody else? And just please turn on the mic.
Yes, thank you. I just would obviously like to support the bill as well. And note that I think it is a creative solution to help encourage private funding and private donation when public funding is stretched as thin as it is. So, I hope this body would really consider that aspect of this, that we're coming to a bill for a tax credit, but the funding, is to encourage private funding to help provide hopefully a sustainable source of funding from the community to support MLSE and other legal aid organizations who may qualify in the future in the years to come.
Thank you, sir. And your name again?
My name is Chris Heeb. I'm one of the attorneys at
Okay.
Micronesian Legal Services.
What's your last name? Sorry.
Heeb?
Heap?
Heeb.
Ebe. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Heeb.
okay.
Heeb.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chris. Okay. Anybody else that wish to offer on record before I recognize any of the members? You're good? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So at this time, the chair wishes to recognize any member to, if they want to pose some questions to the folks that are joining us this afternoon. You are recognized. So whoever wants to pose a question. Senator Poe, would you like to recognize?
I'm just curious, what's your average annual budget that you need to at least at a minimum run a decent office?
For the Mariana's office, we're averaging, wow, it's so expensive. Last year, we spent around $600,000, which is a lot. But we have 7 staff, and we're full-time. We're also, that includes all of our insurance, that includes all of our operations, our rent, and everything that we're spending.
Also, how did
Our
you
professionals, or stuff like that.
how did you fund that 600,000?
It all came from Legal Services Corporation, except the Legal Services Corporation was about 350,000, and then the balance was from our reserve fund, from our Bank of America money. This year, we're looking at around a little less than 300,000 from Legal Services Corporation is what the board has currently budgeted, but it's on continuing resolution. We don't have a final determination of what our actual budget is for 2026. And so we already know there's this huge gap between the budget, what is budgeted and what we spent last year.
Okay. And so when was the last time and how much did the government subsidize your budget in the last few fiscal years?
I wish I could answer that specifically. We have occasionally gotten money from the CNMI government, but it's been many years. We did get money from the Rhoda delegation, and that let us have an office in Rhoda for several years, but that money ran out. We used some of our disaster funding money to keep that office open a little bit longer and, provide services for disaster, but that grant is also over. We've gotten money from SNILD once or twice. It's been inconsistent.
So you don't get any money from poker machine revenues or
No.
the gaming here industry? We don't get any funding
No.
from them.
We're not getting any of that. We're not we don't get, the only thing we get from the CNMI government, in the past, up to 2015, we were getting free rent at the Civic Center, but we lost that place because of Sudalore. Was it? Yeah, it was Sudalore. Yeah.
And how much are you spending for rent now?
This is another issue. Our lease expires January 15th. We're looking for another place. Right now, we got a very, very good deal because we rented from the Sablons, and they gave us a rent that's less than $900 a month for our huge space. But what we're looking at now is our $1,500 a month at the minimum, and we haven't found that space yet. We have a couple feelers out that we might be able to find a place big enough, but yeah. So we're going to be moving in the next less than 30 days, but we don't have a place yet. We've asked the government for help on that. The governor's office has been, the special assistant for administration has been very attentive, but has not been able to identify any local government office. Sent us to NMHC. They had already gotten rid of their spaces that they had available, except for the ones they want to keep for housing for poor people. So we're, if you know of some government space that's available for free, that would be a huge donation from the government. That would really help us. But we don't have that right now.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Paul. Thank you, Ms. Cara. I'm sorry, Ms. Mack. Any other member wish to offer some comments, or Senator Floor Leader Manglona?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Ms. Mack, and to your team. Have you had the chance to go over the draft version of the HB 2424?
Yes.
So all the requirements that are listed is something that the organization is in compliance with in terms of having a letter of determination, granting tax exempt status under 501c3.
Yes.
Operates with the primary purpose of providing free or low cost legal assistance.
Our legal assistance is free. We do not charge for anything except out-of-pocket expenses. So if there are filing fees or publication fees or mailing costs, those are what the clients pay.
Right. I just want to make sure that there's nothing within the language that may become an issue later on.
I don't think so.
In terms of, okay.
Not
Thank
that
you.
we could identify. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Council, if I can ask your guidance in terms of section 3, starting on page 6. Can you just verify that what's stated on section 3A through E is in line or is structured similarly to an education tax credit? Where I see the maximum amount of 5,000. I guess that can be donated, but that I guess businesses can use the 5,000 against any BGRTs owed.
The answer is yes, because that's the idea of a tax credit. You give it to a qualified institution like MLSC, and then they offset that in their what they owe in taxes.
Okay, I just want to clarify because starting from line 10,
Line 10.
I guess what does that? No such credit shall be allowed for any amount deducted in determining taxable income.
Line 10, page.
Page 6, yeah. No such credit shall be allowed for any amount deducted in determining taxable income. Tax imposed for purposes of computing the credit for CMC 1308 is a tax net of any credit taken pursuant to this section. I guess if you can just paraphrase this.
Different page. Yeah. No such credit shall be allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, and just for information purposes, I think the issue with MLSC in the past, when we've tried to appropriate funding through the general fund, previous fiscal years, there were instances where it was approved, and then in other years it was vetoed because it's a nonprofit, and so I think that's where we've always kind of come across the issues with trying to fund it through the general fund, and so that's why we've gone the route of sometimes doing a local appropriation instead of a budget appropriation. But I think maybe it just depends on the administration and what their take is during those times. But I think in moving forward, this is one way in which MLSC can also get the funding dependent upon how many companies they can get to donate the 5,000, and whether that's enough or not during the fiscal year. Maybe additional appropriations can be done to the general fund and determine whether the administration may or may not approve that through the budget. But also, council, if you can also determine whether, I know with education tax credit, they're limited to 5,000 a year, regardless of how many institutions they've made the donations to. But would this be something that would be in addition to 5,000 that's already given for education tax credit? So like within a calendar year, are they allowed to donate up to 10,000, 5,000 being education and 5,000 being MLSC?
The tax credit on this provision is very it's tailored to an agency that provides legal services and access to justice.
Right.
So education tax credit is for education institutions like UConn.
Right.
But unless UConn also has this legal services and they qualify, they may have that tax credit also.
So this could be an entity being able to provide tax donations in or amounting to 10,000 being that 5,000 is for education, 5,000 is for nonprofit.
Yes, if it meets the requirements of this bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think one thing for the committee to consider, I think, in right now, with when it comes to education tax credit, we've seen sums of, I think, close to $500,000, right? Maybe even up to $1 million. So that might be one concern in that in that aspect. If that's something that businesses, if the same businesses that donate to schools also donate to an MLSC, that's essentially $500,000 that goes to just one entity, being MLSC. But I think if I may recommend to the committee how this 5,000 limit may impact revenues for the CNMI. Maybe considering starting at a lower cap and seeing how that may affect MLSC as well as general revenues. And then if that is not something that, if MLSC is unable to collect a reasonable amount of donations, then we can reconsider increasing the limit. But again, based on information that we receive on education tax credit itself, we're looking at somewhere in excess of maybe close to $500,000 in one calendar year, one tax year.
We're hoping to get anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000.
Right.
I would be shocked if we got, if we get 10,000, that will be a success. If we
Right.
get 20,000, we'll be really happy.
If there's
Justice is not as much.
Right, I understand.
Lawyers are not popular like teachers, like students. Poor people are not popular. Why don't they go out and work? Why don't they? They're just. It's really sad about the how that works. But
yeah, no, I totally
have
agree.
no
I totally
problem with-
understand. But if I may ask, what would be a reasonable and comfortable amount that would allow MLSC to keep its doors open and be able to provide the services within a fiscal year, at minimum?
If you're looking for a cap, like say if we collected more than X dollars, we would have to remit that back to the CNMI government. I would put that at $100,000.
Okay.
And I would not object to some kind of provision in the bill being added like that.
Okay.
That any agency that qualifies for this tax under this cannot receive more than a certain amount.
Okay. Are you aware of any other organization that kind of falls within the
I can't
confines of
recall
what
the exact
is
terms of that, but I think NMCL might. NMCL is a 501c3. They do provide free legal assistance to low-income people. I don't think any other, or I don't know of any other organization.
Okay. With that, thank you, Ms. Mack. I think with that, Chairman, if I may propose additional language or amendment to Section 3B, maybe to amend the 5,000 to, at most for now, maybe 2,000. And then we can see where we go from there.
Chairman, I think the problem with that is if one company wants to donate 5,000 and they can only find 4, so you don't want to limit them.
I can only what? I'm sorry?
If they can find only 4 companies that's willing to donate, it's a challenge. If it's 2, I think it's better to say that that regardless of how many they get or how much they collect, which is up to 5,000, as long as they don't exceed 100 grand, maybe that's the kind of cap that we put. We shouldn't limit them to per donation, right? Because there might be only 2 or 3 companies that are generous enough, and
I understand, but what I'm saying is that when you have companies that are donating to schools in excess of 500,000, right? Who knows? MLSC can do outreach to all these companies, and then we see that figure ballooning to, over 100,000. But I understand. I mean, whether it be a cap on individual donations or tax contributions, or an overall budget, but we don't also want to limit their operational funds to 100,000. If they can get up to at least maybe 150 or 200, in the event that any future federal support is
I mean, I don't know that I can say or comment on what's better, taking in all the factors for the Commonwealth. I think, just note for this committee, I think, right now in the current funding environment that we're seeing, it's difficult and it's rougher than I think it has been, and then it may be 5 or 10 years in the future. So I think from our perspective, in terms of helping the clients we're helping, having the need or ability to sort of get as much as we can from individual donors, whether it may be a few, right away, is sort of a paramount concern for us to be able to do our services to the community. No one knows what's going to happen in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And we don't know whether, our situation from some of our other funding sources that are federal based, whether that's going to, improve or get worse. I don't think anyone can really predict that, right? And you all probably deal with that in your deliberations. But I guess the concern or issue may be, is if we limit it in by individual. Yes, I understand it could go up, it could get really high. I think I'm probably skeptical that it would get as high as the educational tax credit, and I don't know if it's a situation where the committee could, if it does look like it's too high, come back and say, wait a minute, it's too high. It was too high for the first year. Let's go and let's reduce the amount at an amendment process later on. That is something that may be an option, considering I think from our perspective, we're at a situation now where we are looking at cuts. So having that immediate need, especially when you start off, you're doing this the first year or two, you're probably going to have fewer people than when you get to year 5 or 10 and you've established those relationships and people have a history of giving. So that's a comment I would make on that.
Yeah. So
I would agree with that. I think we would ask that you keep it at 5,000 and then revisit this year to year to see how much we are getting. And then you can lower it if it looks like we're getting too much.
I think it might be much more difficult to try to seek an amendment in the future, or at least time consuming when it comes to trying to get the amendments through both houses. But I think right now, what we can do is put in safeguards where we can set a cap at, like what Senator Paul had mentioned, maybe at 100 or 150, and then go from there.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
I have no problem with having a cap, because I know the CNMI government needs the money too.
Thank you.
And so we're really very, very grateful for your support and hope that you can do this.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, Council, and with the recommendations made by Senator Paul, whether it be an amendment to Section 3B or add in a new Section 3C that the total credit that the organization may receive shall not exceed 150,000.
First, I I appreciate the conversation, Flor. I do recognize the gravity of the concerns being raised earlier. And I also I appreciate the consideration being discussed. I'm just, and just staying on the discussion, I'm just concerned that if we make any changes, it may take a little longer once again for the House members to act on the legislation, knowing fully the gravity of the advocacy for this legislation to pass. And
So I withdraw the amendment that I was recommending, Chair.
No, but I do want to share that there are some emails received by the office, as well as some written comments expressing their full support as is. And before I continue discussing on the matter, members, I respectfully ask, let me just ask this to Ms. Mack. Are you guys registered under Munis
I'm sorry,
system? Or
under-
you guys registered under Munis? Can you access Munis?
I'm not sure what that is.
That's the financial operating system for the CNMI government.
No, we're not.
Okay, I encourage you to work with Department of Revenue or Division of Revenue and Tax or someone
Okay.
at the Secretary of Finance office to get access to it, because that would definitely assist the MLSC
Okay.
in terms of accessing your funds that's available.
I
via-
will advise our central office, which is the administrative office that has the accountants that handle all of our funding. And
Okay, so who's the if I may,
the
next-
executive director is Lee Plisco. Our accountant, chief financial officer is Joyce Malari.
and are they all based here on Japan?
Yes.
Okay, so
Joyce is right now off island working remotely, but she's coming back.
okay.
She's just got a temporary need to be in
Sure.
the States.
Okay, so staying in that discussion and continuing discussion of what Floor Leader Manglonia is
Yes.
mentioning and discussing earlier. Before I dispose on any changes, I respectfully ask the members to kind of keep the urgency of this legislation in mind. As this organization is coming before us to ask for some assistance.
We-
But
we
Senator Cruz,
appreciate
I recognize.
Thank you, and thank you, ma'am, and your team for
Thank you. We
come
do
over
need
to
it
comment
as
on
sooner
this
than later,
legislation.
so
So,
that
I just want to ask, do you have any? You're servicing the whole Commonwealth, including you mentioned earlier, Rhoda, even
Yes.
Tinian, right?
yes,
So, how many clients do you get every year?
it depends on the budget. When we had the disaster grant, we were going 2 or 3 times. We even had offices. We had an office open on both Tinian and Rhoda, and then when that money ran out. With the Rhoda delegation money, we kept the office on Rhoda open a little bit longer with staff hired locally on Rhoda. But when that money ran out, we closed that. Now we just go periodically. We have a new grant to assist victims of domestic violence. And we will be going to each island once a month under that grant to help victims of domestic violence. That doesn't give us room to help a lot of other people. They can contact us through them, but that grant is really for victims of domestic violence. So we know we'll be going to every island every other month for 2026.
I'm asking, how many clients per year you getting from?
It depends. I would guess we're getting about, from Tinian, we're getting maybe 10 or 12 a year. From Rhoda, the people on Rhoda are much more independent, and they like to do things themselves. We probably have maybe 10 from Rhoda in 2025. Tinian probably more, maybe 15 is from Tinian.
So, if you mentioned based on your budget,
Mhm.
so if in the event you don't have the budget to to give service for these underserved individuals or low-income individuals, do you refer them to some?
We
Other?
give service. We just don't necessarily be there in person. So we do intake by telephone,
Okay.
or we communicate by email. We do virtual meetings with people. We appear in court virtually. You know, the Rhoda Courthouse, the Tinian Courthouse, they're all set up for virtual hearings. So the clients can be there and we can be here and represent them. So we don't deny services because we're not actually physically present on island. We handle the cases even if we aren't physically
Sorry
able to meet with them.
for asking that question, because when you mentioned it depends, that's why I'm wondering whether if you don't have the funding, now that you mentioned that you're just giving service for free in
Yeah. We don't,
if you
our
don't have
visits to the islands depend on our budget
All right.
because travel costs money. But our services are open all the time, except right now we're going to be closing because we're worried about losing staff and we can't take on more representation. But our services are available virtually or
So-
by telephone.
So you have a criteria to review applicants whether they're qualified or
Yes.
to be
Oh,
given
yes.
that service?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes.
I asked that because in the past they asked me, guidance to seek lawyers, and I said
Right.
I mentioned I know that you have an office back then in I think in Chalancanoa, right?
Mhm.
And the long time office in Chalancanoa, and I think that's that old building. So
Right.
I was referring to, I said, I will see what I can do whether Micronesian Legal Service still giving service, because I know back in 2010 or 11, I remember when Senator Poe was the president, I know we're giving not that big, but we're giving funding for Micronesian Legal Service. So
Mhm.
and I think it's important to continue to as we move forward and we have that funding. I think
Yes.
it should be given, because it's not it as you said, you're giving services to underserved individual in the Commonwealth, and that's good, because some of our residents of the Commonwealth don't know where to go about when it comes to, and it's so sad that they people underserved individuals just give up in pursuing their rights to services. So again, I appreciate you guys coming over to to continue to give service, and I thank you guys for the services for underserved people here in the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you
you,
very much.
Chairman.
This is Masi, Senator Cruz. Staying on topic, Senator Poe.
I just wanted to ask, what is Legal Services Corporation? Can you?
A Legal Services Corporation is the only corporation founded by Congress. It's by the U.S. Congress. The U.S. Congress created the Legal Services Corporation. It is the one and only corporation owned and run by Congress. And what they do, Congress gives money to the Legal Services Corporation, and then the Legal Services Corporation divvies it up to all the legal aids across the United States and in the territories.
You got 300,000 last year? Or the year
No, we get money for the whole Micronesian Legal Services from Legal Services Corporation. I don't actually know what the budget is we get from them. I think it's like $1 million. But it's for all of Micronesia. And then our internal office has another formula for how it gets divided up among the different governments. And just so you know, we do get money from the FSM national government. We also get money from the YAP state government and the Chuk state government. We get a lot of financial support from the Marshall Islands, not so much from Palau, not yet from Guam. And so the Marianas is at the bottom with a few of the nations that aren't supporting, but the FSM has really stepped up.
So you have
to
staffing
support us.
also in the other,
Yes,
all the other
on
places.
all the islands throughout Micronesia.
So anyway, I just wanted to point out that like you said, you had a shortfall of 300,000 last
Yes.
year, right?
Yes.
Even if you were to collect 200,000, you would need 50 companies, right? And that's not easy to collect 5,000
Yeah, I don't think we've
from
met
50
that.
companies.
Right.
So I think we just have to every year get the total amount donated for education and for legal services, and then next year kind of like consider the total amount.
Mhm.
No, so yeah, so I don't think we need to really worry that there's a lot of companies out there in light of the economic situation we're in that they're gonna be giving money, but we hope a lot of them will donate.
I think
But I
that-
don't think
right.
we can get 30 people to donate 5,000.
I doubt we're looking for a handful this year. If we get 2 or 3 this year, that will be great. If we get a handful next year, we don't expect there to be a huge turnout for this tax credit, but every little bit will help. And so we really, and I appreciate, it is urgent, especially to get it done this year before the tax year is over, so we can get donations before the tax year is over. Otherwise, it's an entire year before they get a benefit from a tax credit, and they won't donate till the end of the year next year.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be too late then.
Thank you, Senator Paul Manglonia. This time, I want to recognize Senator Ron Calvo, who is joining us virtually. Senator Calvo, you are recognized.
Thank you and good afternoon, Chairman and colleagues. I would like to thank our Micronesian Legal Service Corp for their, proposition here in regarding to the support of 2424. Just in regards to this, I really commend you because last week or so we also had how you guys work closely in alignment with the Department of Youth Services, and knowing that the reduction of hours needed, you guys work collaboratively with them, providing when we have an increase in domestic violence and crisis intervention, prevention, and things happen within the Commonwealth, the numbers are skyrocketing according to their stats. So you guys are coming in on the judicial side as a transparent legal aspect that is, also struggling in regards to the funding source and the reduction of funding. So, Ms. Jane, I thank you and your team, the panel there, for supporting that. It is true that we need to find creative ways to source out funding. And I know our colleagues also mentioned when we do look at the key policies, some of the questions we want to include is the tax credit cap, and on top of that cap, is this law going to be, sunsetted, or is this going to be a pilot thing? And knowing you generated in the past 600K and so forth, the reduction of fees for whatever reasons that are needed to operate, and the thought of collections, we got to make sure that we also look into the funding, who will be tracking this and reporting it. And hopefully we also will be able to monitor the tax credit coming in, because we are also looking at the general fund. So this is a critical portion. How much is enough to operate and get by under these extreme circumstances? And we don't want to under support, as Senator Donald mentioned, in alignment with the 5K and giving tax credit to schools. Will you still, as an organization, be able to receive qualified donations? So what organizations, are eligible to give you that tax credit, and how many organizations, should fund it? And how you mentioned, if the funding is not exhausted, will that be refundable to the general fund? So these are just for the record for our team to look at the possible safeguards and to ensure that we do fulfill, because like DYS said, this is a 24-hour system. Whether you like it or not, in that position, when they go in and need legal matters to be taken care of, it's gonna continue on, and we have to be proactive and, in support of this. This is a creative way, but it has to be measurable and ensure that we, you are funded, but necessarily, and things are set. So I ask for the team, as we go over it, to refine certain sections of it with the legal counsel and making sure it is in place, that we just place some of these safeguards and support that as, continued, and we track it and monitor and revisit every year in regards to the funding source. So thank you, Chairman. Thank you, our panelists, for your testimonies and your concern for House Bill 2424 as we work together in refining this and, helping serve the underserved as far as financial is concerned, those in the poverty range, because they need that voice. They need your support when it comes to domestic violence, other family, topics of discussion. So I thank you and DYS working hand in hand so we can get all this, addressed timely. Thank you, Chairman. I yield.
Sizus Masi, Senator Calvo. Any other members wish to offer any more pointers or discussion on the matter before we excuse our visitors this afternoon?
Thank you.
Any more parting words before you?
The only thing I would say is, in the past, we are always looking for whatever financial assistance we can get, and how we make up the gap in money. Just because we were able to do that last year doesn't mean we'll be able to do it next year or the year after. This is actually the biggest threat to Micronesian Legal Services since I've been here, and I came in 1984. And I'm very emotional about it because I don't want to lose staff, but we're going to. We have to. Even with the passage of this, we will lose at least one staff. If we don't get this and we don't get any donations this year, we will probably lose more than one staff. And that impacts the people in the Marianas directly. The gap was made up with Bank of America funds that we got from a class action lawsuit in the United States that our CNMI Bar Association got to step into, getting some assistance for us. That was a one-time thing. That's not going to happen again. And we do need the support now. I appreciate your concern that if you add changes to it, it might not happen before the end of the year, and that would really be devastating for us. We understand that you have a political process and you have obligations, but we ask that you pass it as it is, and we're happy to work with you so that you can find out how much we get and make any necessary adjustments next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mack, and thank you, Mr. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at Heap and Dispensa Amzur Kitodo. Thanks for making time to come here and meeting with us. We'll definitely continue our discussion, and we'll take the conversation closely as we deliberate on the subject legislation. Thank you, and at this time I wish to call for a short recess. our committee meeting, and we continuing discussion. But I wish to go back to item 5 under new business and go back to House Bill number 24-33 to statutorily define the scope of the Commonwealth Annual or General Revenues within the meaning of Article 15, Section 1E of the NMI Constitution. Was referred to committee on November 24th, 2025. There is yet to be a comment received, and the chair wished to request the guidance from the members whether or not to take this through a public hearing or request for comments or mark it up, consider for markup for action by the Senate. And the floor is open for discussion. Anyone?
Chair.
Senator Calvo, recognize.
Yes, can I just get Dave's opinion on that one regarding because that deals with the finance in the bill? Clarification if you were in support of this.
So just to clarify, what are you gonna ask for figures discussion, or are you gonna have the legality on the matter? On the legislation.
Probably, yeah, just the totality of because it's clearly defined. I mean, it's defined, the slip opinion and so forth, but just in regards to the second option you mentioned, the totality of it all.
Okay, correct.
How it
So
will affect our decisions.
I noted, Chair. Okay, Dave, can you go ahead and respond to Senator Calvo?
Yeah, when we passed Public Law 24-14, right, it clearly defines the general revenue there. So the way we are operating with the general revenue computation is it's based on the gross revenue on the top, which is the gross revenue generated in the Commonwealth. That's from the general fund revenue. And then on top of that, we're also adding the revenue collected from DPL. So giving us the total revenue identified for that particular fiscal year to be appropriated. And then from there, we deduct all the earmarks account, right? And then the debt service payments as well. Then the leftover is still the net resources available for appropriation. Right before we further deduct DPL on the bottom, right? Before we deduct DPL resources on the bottom, that net amount still represents the net gross revenue for the Commonwealth. So we take out the DPL, right? And then the leftover is what we consider general revenue. And from that general revenue amount, PSS will get 25%, and the rest will be allocated to all others in the budget. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dave. Senator Calvo.
Yes, Chairman.
You still have the floor, sir, unless you want to yield back.
So that is that's the initial intent, is that explanation, that clarity. So this bill would initially be stated to give that explanation then, if I'm correct, on every budget provision for providing clarity and consistency. Is that the intention, to cite the Constitution the article in hand? Is that the intent for this? I'm trying to better understand when we do the budget proposal and decisions where that citation is clearly defined on every, on the budget. Is that why this bill versus the intention of us knowing?
My response to that, Senator Calvo, is when we take a look at the Supreme Court opinion about the definition of general revenue, it basically says that there are revenues that are generated in the Commonwealth. But then if there are some revenues to be earmarked, right? The earmark has to be connected with the purpose or with the expenditure. Yes, it has to be nexus. For that revenue to be allowed to be earmarked. But then if that particular earmark is suspended, then that particular revenue will go back as a general revenue. Okay? So my understanding is that if we continue with this kind of formula to get us down to the general revenue portion of the budget, then we establish a consistency as to how to apply the general revenue where PSS is entitled only for 25%. And I believe that's where we are today when we pass the Public Law 24-14 for the FY 2026 budget. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is Masi Dave. Chairman Calvo, you still have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Dave, for that explicit explanation you did say a term there, to establish. So I feel, me personally, I do feel that it's very important sometimes to revisit and have that clearly stated as we do the proposed budget and so forth. So thank you for that clarity as we continue to make the decision whether or not any amendments are in support of this bill. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chairman, for the record.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Calvo. Any other member that wish to comment? Vice President, or I'm sorry, Floor Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. I think based on the legislature's decision in the previous budget bill, which became law, it's under the understanding that we've clearly defined how the legislature identifies general revenue versus special revenue, and this bill just basically took what was proposed in the budget bill and basically sets the statute so that we don't have to keep revisiting this provision year after year. And so with that, Mr. Chair, members, if there's no concerns or objections from the other members, I'd like to move to adopt House Bill 2433.
Okay, nothing further, no further discussion. Standing request right now is for passage in its current form. Any second? Yeah. Been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to adopt House Bill 24-33 without any amendments from committee, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. House Bill number 24-33 is hereby passed the committee. Thank you, members. Moving on to item number 2, House Bill 24-51. And before I recognize the members, I want to once again thank the Director of Parks and Recreation, Director Mike Cruz, and Director Jack Song Sung for coming over and offering their full support. I do also recognize that the jurisdictions of the 1st Senatorial District and 2nd Senatorial District shall be considered in the access of this establishment of revolving account, as the two respective senatorial districts do operate also the same operations of their public cemetery on both islands. So as the committee evaluates the progression of this bill, I would like to request the members to continue further discussion and let's come up with the appropriate amendment and clarification so that both Songsung Village Public Cemetery and San Jose Village Public Cemetery both get the much needed assistance in terms of the operations and maintenance of such. Any comments from the members that wish to offer?
Thank you. Before any of the members offer an amendment, I think council, if that were the case, to include the cemeteries on Road and Tinian, I think would there be any issue being that these belong to the church as opposed to it being a public cemetery? But if that were the case, I think that we can still do a sub-account and reserve monies whether it be something that in the future we establish a public cemetery, that those monies will be available when that time comes, whether it be a veteran cemetery or
Correct.
an additional a separate location and so. I think with that, Mr. Chairman, before we go to the cemetery portion, if we look at section 2, which establishes the account for land registration and survey, we should also include a portion in there that the Secretary of Finance shall establish a special account where it has a Division of Land and Registration Survey revolving account, and that there shall be 3 sub-accounts to allow for each of the senatorial district to be able to collect fees. So council,
Maybe after the A sentence.
You're referring to page 3,
yes,
line 1? Okay.
yes. So it will be shall establish a special account called the Division of Land Registration and Survey revolving account, where all the funds collected in each senatorial district shall be deposited into the revolving account created for each senatorial district to be used to fund utilities, equipment, operations, and/or personnel.
Okay.
Would that be more appropriate?
May I offer a comment, Vice President? With respect to Rota and Tinian, I think it's appropriate that the resident department heads shall be at least come up with the appropriate language to allow them to also partake in the discussion, or at least the promulgation and the enforcement of such regulation. No? So oftentimes they, like on some other cases of legislations that became law, it really is just the secretary, which it's understood, but oftentimes it creates a bottleneck in terms of the effectivity of how to execute the mandates of the law. So, Council, can you assist the committee by coming up with the appropriate language to allow the first and second senatorial district line agencies of the same agency, in this case Department of Finance, to partake in the either consultation or concurrence, whatever it is that is appropriate, so that when they do propose a regulation to to enforce this particular action by this bill, this potential law, it does reflect such authority. So,
Sure. I
Go
think
ahead.
yes. I think you're right. I think maybe we can table this, but still act on it today to allow council to prepare that language. I think similarly to the way the DLNR agriculture revolving account or the way those fees are established, it gives the authority to the resident department head to establish and promulgate the fee schedule. And so I guess similarly to how that it was languaged, maybe we can also provide the same language here. So it would be the division of land and registration and survey to be the expenditure authority for the stipend sub-account. The ROTA Department of Land and Natural Resources resident director to be the expenditure authority of the ROTA account, and respectively with the Tinian. So that will also amend section B. So, Mr. Chair, what the council is amending the language, we can come back and I can formally introduce the amendment. But also on section 3, funding, I think we can amend this to remove MARPI and just call it the Public Cemetery Fund account, where monies collected under each district shall be deposited into their respective sub-accounts to manage the public cemetery within each of their district. And in portion B, the expenditure authority, similar to section 2, would be the director of Parks and Recs, or sorry, the resident department head of DLNR on the 1st and 2nd senatorial district. And so, Mr. Chair, I think if I may request that we table this until council has prepared the amendment, and that way I can make the proper motion if there's no other concerns from the members.
There's been a request to table the action on House Bill 2451 for further discussion or in committee. Yeah? So, Senator Cruz, recognize.
Thank you, Floor Leader, for requesting to put this on for further discussion, because I was looking at the law, the 26 subsection 2622 on 3FMC is only cemetery established only in Marpi, and you mentioned earlier about giving the owner also the authority on the expenditure, right? You mentioned earlier, Chairman.
Yeah, if we're going to move forward with this to allow,
if we don't establish a cemetery for Tinian and Rhoda, then I don't think it's included in this, because it's different. It's already established Marpi, a public cemetery by law, but not Tinian and Rhoda, unless Rhoda is already established a public cemetery. So I think we need further discussion on this to be able to.
Yeah, and that's good, Senator Cruz. So councils and Jolene, can you please do further research on the establishment of the public cemetery on both, first and second senatorial district, see what kind of statutory requirement there is, and then we'll go from there. It'll help with the discussion. So further, the decision of the committee is to further to hold the action on this legislation for further discussion. I'm gonna mark that. Having said that, no objection from the members. We have already We're moving on ahead to 2463 because we have already discussed 2424 extensively earlier. Item number 3 on the order of business, number House Bill 24-63. Colleagues, I wish to ask that if there is no specific concern with regards to any of the language or the intent of this legislation, I would like to request that we consider marking it up for action, because this is one of the discussions over the last several months. We know that we amend the current statute to address the concerns of Department of or Division of Revenue and Tax with regards to the enforcement of such. Any comments from the members? No? Construction tax.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, before I go ahead and make that motion, I just wanted to verify one last thing.
Recognize, Claudia.
With your request, Mr. Chair, I would like to move to adopt House Bill 2463 in its current form.
There's been a motion offered by Senator Donald Manglonia for adoption of 24-63 and House Bill. It's been seconded. Under discussion.
Yeah, ready. Ready?
Ready? Okay, all those in favor for the adoption in its current form, House Bill 2463 on committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, members. Moving on to item number 5. House Bill number 2430 to appropriate funds from accounts 1501B and 1501S to support the operational and personal needs of the Cannabis Commission, and to direct the Secretary of Finance to establish and maintain a separate sub-account within the cannabis tax account for the purpose of segregating and reserving PSS designated share. Open for discussion, colleagues. On the cannabis, number 5. Okay. Request for a short recess. Okay, we're back into the fiscal affairs committee meeting, and we are discussing House Bill 24-30, and at this time, I recognize Floor Leader Manglotnya to offer his proposed amendment on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I move to amend Section 2B. The sum of 156,856 is hereby appropriated to the Sinamay Cannabis Commission. We'll just remove that. The sum of 156,856 is hereby appropriated as follows: 100,000 to the Secretary of Finance. To the Secretary of Finance for the 25% retirees pension. And then 56,856 to the Micronesian Legal Services Corp. The Section 2A we will keep as is to be able to allow for the Sinamay Cannabis Commission to maintain its staff. Even if they were to transition over to ABTC, these positions will be funded throughout the fiscal year. Sections 2B, 3 and 4 will be taken out of, will be stricken out. 2C, 1, the Secretary of Finance shall be the expenditure authority of 2B1, and then 2C2, the short recess, Mr. Chair.
Sure. We're back in session. We are still discussing House Bill number 24-30, of which Floor Leader Mangloña has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I amend my motion to, rather than add a language to section 2C, we will add additional language to 2B1. Of the 100,000 or of the 156,856, 100,000 shall be appropriated to fund the 25% retirees pension. The expenditure authority for these funds shall be the Secretary of Finance. Section 2B2, 56,856 shall be appropriated to the Micronesian Legal Services Corporation. The expenditure authority shall be the executive director of MLSC. We will strike out, or I propose to strike out 2B 3 and 4, as well as 2C. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I move.
Amendment offered by Floor Leader Mangloña is read and has been seconded. Further discussion?
Ready.
All those in favor of the motion offered for amendment of House Bill 2430, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Back to the main motion. Any further comment for adoption?
Ready.
Do we need to restate the adoption? We're still...
No, there wasn't adoption.
Okay, so again, recognize Floor Leader Mangloña to
Thank
offer
you,
the
Mr.
appropriate
Chair. At
motion.
this time, I move to adopt HB 24-30 as amended.
It's been a motion offered by Floor Leader Mangloña for the adoption of House Bill 24-30 as amended in committee, and has been seconded. Any further discussion?
Ready.
Ready? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. House Bill 24-30 hereby adopted as amended in committee. Thank you, members, and thank you, staff. Because of I wish to request the members to forego action on item number 6, and leave it on the agenda. Number 7, number 8, and number 8. But we do want to go back to item number 4. As earlier discussed, and in reference to House Bill number 24-24, under discussion, there is some additive or amendment to further clarify the intent of this particular legislation, and this time I once again recognize the floor leader to offer that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I move to amend Section 2B to include language after 5,000. To include language that provided further the organization shall not receive more than 200K in a tax year.
Can you state that again, floor leader? 200,000.
Yes. Again, that's to include language provided further. The qualifying nonprofit legal services organization shall not receive more than $200,000 in a tax year. Additionally, in section 3B, that same language will also be added to the end of that sentence.
What was the first one?
2B,
I have that in 2B, but you said that you wanted it somewhere else?
similar to 2B, section 3B.
Section 3B. Okay, I have it in section 3B. Where's the other one?
So we have 2B and 3B.
Similar language?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then lastly, add a new section 4. Yeah, titled Reporting Requirement. The qualifying nonprofit legal services organizations shall report to the legislature on the expenditure of these funds. To include language consistent with the provision. So move.
There's been a motion offered by Floor Leader Manglonia on House Bill 24-24 and has been seconded. Any further clarification? All those in favor on the motion, on the amendment offered by Floor Leader Manglonia, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. And back to the main motion.
Mr. Chair.
Recognize again Senator Donald.
Thank you. At this time, I move to adopt House Bill 24-24 SD1.
Then a motion offered for the adoption of House Bill number 2424 HD1 as amended, and it's been seconded. There's discussion. Thank you. Any further? Ready? All those in favor for the adoption of House Bill 24-24 HD1 as amended, please say aye. Also opposed say nay. Motion carries. House Bill number 24-24 HD1 hereby passes in committee in a form of SD1. Correct? As thank you, colleagues, members. So, some clarification, Council, recognize. The chair can there's a standing question offered by the council whether the intent was to report to the legislature or the presiding officers of the legislature.
Mr. Chair, if we can consider as a technical amendment, this would be to the presiding officers of the legislature.
Okay, so any objection for the members whether to that it is a technical amendment to further clarify
No
the
objection.
amendment? Thank you, members. Council, please make that note. Thank you. Okay, as earlier discussed, we will table discussion on the remaining bills on agenda today, primarily item number 6, 7, and 8 on new business and old business numbers 1 and 2. And there's no discussion, no objection from that. And moving on. Under announcements, any announcement that we wish to share to the community with regards to any action in the legislatures thus far? Negative? Ready? The chair would, because this is a fiscal affairs, I wish to extend my appreciation to the members of the Senate, primarily the Fiscal Affairs Committee and the staff, along with the Ways and Means Chair and his committee, for a very fruitful engagement in addressing the urgent item before the legislature, and that is the fiscal year 2026 revised budget. As we all know, it's been shared that the actions of the legislature is very critical, as to which some of the, if not the very huge obligation, primarily of the government health and life insurance, or government health insurance that encompasses also, that it covers also retirees, is before the legislature. So I do understand that the Senate President had called for a Monday meeting, of which we anticipate a transmittal from the House, so that the legislature, the Senate can follow suit and adopt and have the product being offered by the 24th legislature over to the governor's office in time for their review and disposal of the revised budget. So I want to thank you all, members and staff, both houses, for really working together and trying to get this very important obligation of on running. So with that, at this moment, I wish to recognize any member to offer a motion to adjourn. There's been a motion offered by Senator Manglonia and been seconded for adjournment. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn this Fiscal Affairs Committee meeting, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. The Senate's Fiscal Affairs Committee meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon.